Week 5 is here, and it seems like it should be an interesting one. Justin Fields chalk. We'll see in a moment here, but we're going to dig in. Do we always do here on the Week 5 must plays? We'll look at projections from our friends Stochastic, see what things are looking like, get a read on guys like Rico Dowdle filling in for Chuba Hubbard this week. Lots of injuries to talk about as well. We'll look at ownership projections as well. We'll hop over the fence to see what ETR is doing, see what the solver thinks the cash game optimal right now, along with some sim lineups on there. We'll sim some lineups on Stochastic. We'll build the lineup ourselves. And by the end of this video, you should know all Week 5's must plays on a slate, the first buys of the season as well. Let's get into it. I hope it was a lovely Thursday night football for all you people out there. It was a tough slate. I did ended up going whole hog on Puka Nacua. And unfortunately, like we talk about here, the game theory always comes in on the showdown slates. And even though Puka Nacua, I thought there was no way if he scored over 20 fantasy points, even high teens, based on just what the data I was looking at, all that, I thought there was no way that he would make a winning lineup. And it turns out Matthew Stafford outscores him. Kyron outscores him. That's how that goes. But at least it was a fun game, right? We've got that going for us here. And of course, we got a lot going in the chat. We got our guy, I am the KY, Justin, soon to be a dad of a new child here. Justin, appreciate seeing all you guys here. But let's get into it. And of course, you want to see the data, the tools that I show you guys here on screen. All the links are down in the description. In particular, Stochastic, 15% off with the promo code SPLASH. So get yourself some data, get yourself some sim tools, weekly packages, monthly packages. It all supports the show. Half the money you pay to Stochastic comes back to me. Big way I'm able to do what I do here. So please do click that link and get into it. All right, let's go, guys. We got Devon Achan up top here. Happy Fridays. Happy Friday to all you guys as well. Hope it's a good one. Also, quick reminder, no final takes video Sunday morning. I will be at my brother-in-law's wedding on the way back, actually, to do live before lock show on Stochastic. So no final takes video, no final takes video, only must plays this week. So try to do the best I can to be as thorough as possible here on a Friday. Devon Achan, your number one projected guy, 22.5 fantasy points for him. A matchup versus Carolina. So a spot that we normally would want to attack here with two teams that are not very good. Miami this week, 22.8 implied points. No Tyreek Hill. Of course, he is out with the gruesome leg injury, dislocated kneecap, multiple ligament injuries. Will he play football again? I'm sure he'll try to get paid some money to do that. But either way, that vacates about a 27% target per out run player that's no longer there. Obviously, Jalen Waddle should get more work. Darren Waller in his week one day, or his first week debut for him, 40% target per out run, did not play a ton of routes in that game, only 10 and 16 snaps overall. He's another guy that's going to take some work away as that route share increases, that snap share increases. But as it is right now, Devon Achan should be the big beneficiary here as a guy who's been very good overall, 0.12 EPA per run, 0.1 EPA per pass. Efficiency plus EPA number is always a good thing to see. Of course, EPA expected points added. If you're not familiar with that number, I reference here so often on the channel, data I pull from Sports Info Solutions. But he's at a 26% avoided tackle rate, 47% avoided tackle rate on pass plays. Red zone work could be better. Only 2 intended red zone touches a game, but the PPR scam should be in. So Devon Achan, much like your Christian McCaffrey, is obviously a little bit less touchdown equity because McCaffrey's getting about 6 red zone touches a game. Achan's only getting 2. And Ollie Gordon is there to take some work away as opposed to a Brian Robinson for McCaffrey. But the play is kind of similar. PPR scam play looks better on DraftKings than on FanDuel. Looks better on DraftKings than on Underdog, even though for Devon Achan certainly has that game-breaking upside if he breaks long touchdowns. He really hasn't been doing that the last year and change, so I don't expect that to happen here. But Devon Achan, your best player of the week, according to Stochastic. I think you move away from it 7,300, certainly, but cash game play, easy play to get to. A lot of people will think that this week in the match versus Carolina. Another, don't overthink the slate. I mean, we'll see. So one thing I will note right away, Stochastic has not updated their data in the last 16 hours, so we do not have a Rico Dowdle update. And he's your thumbnail guy. If you don't recognize Rico Dowdle's face, I won't dock you any points for it. But for Rico Dowdle, he's, I think, the most important player in the slate right now at 4,300, absorbing potentially, if he were to take in all of Chuba Hubbard's touches and his own, about 25 touches potentially for him. That said, Trevor Etienne should get in the mix. They could certainly work some other running backs that I'm not thinking about right now on the depth chart if they wanted to. But that's something just to note here as we go in. He wouldn't be a top projected guy no matter what. But for, Rico Dowdle, he's an important one we're not going to cover right now, unfortunately. Hopefully ETR has been, though. Justin Fields, your number 2 guy here, 21.2 fantasy points. If you watched this channel at all over the course of 2025, you probably know I'm deep in the bag for Justin Fields. 2 times he's played a full game this year. And obviously, the Bills game was an absolute disaster. So if you want to dock him for that, you can. But 2 times he's played, started a game, over 25 fantasy points. We saw the massive 40-yard touchdown run he had this past week going against the Dolphins. Now he's got a matchup versus Dallas. Team total for the Jets this week. Where are we at? 22.5 implied points at home, so a 2.5-point dog. For Justin Fields, he looks like the strongest QB play of the week, projecting over 20 fantasy points here. Certainly a more competitive game. You'd expect a better quality game with Justin Herbert and his 21.2 fantasy point projection, but he's $500 cheaper. Justin Fields, I would think, along with Devon Achane, two of the first players in a cash game lineup. As I always talk about, if you are playing Justin Fields, it was the same thing on the Monday night slate. You're playing Fields, make sure you're stacking Garrett Wilson because Fields unlikely to hit the upside that you need if he doesn't have a pass catcher with him. And yeah, Mason Taylor can do okay relative to tight end, but overall, Fields is going to score enough points. It's going to come with Garrett Wilson being a part of that, and especially going against the Cowboys team. That's one of the worst defenses in football right now, giving up 0.43 EPA per drop back, 0.48 EPA per pass, just absolutely awful numbers. Playing zone a bunch as well, which is not as good for Garrett Wilson. He's been killing man on the year, but he'll be fine versus zone. Think that stacking up Fields is going to be an important thing to do right away. Wouldn't do it in a cash game, but I would say, well, wouldn't necessarily do it in a cash game. But for any sort of tournament lineups, Fields plus Garrett Wilson, I think, is a must. Justin Herbert, as I mentioned, right behind Fields, spot versus Washington with Jaden Daniels returning. We'll see if Deebo Samuel can go. He's been banged up this week with a heel injury. McLaurin already ruled out. Noah Brown already ruled out for the Commanders. Not good to see that, but still, game that should be good. Washington, a competent enough team. And Jaden, despite not being as good as last year so far with some tough matchups, particularly that Green Bay one, still efficient, still not falling apart under pressure. He's only got a negative 0.13 EPA per pressure play. So like a pretty good number to be that low of a negative. So for Herbert, should be a good game environment. I do think if you want to play like a real game, if you want to play like a real two good teams game, play Herbert. If you want to play the potential for like two teams putting up 400, 500 yards and it being absolutely a sloppy fucking anybody can do whatever they want game, that's the Fields game. So really no critique which way you'd want to go with that. But I do think Fields will be a little bit higher owned than Herbert just because you have that $500 savings between the two. Jahmyr Gibbs, really, really, really good spot for Jahmyr Gibbs here. Lions 30 implied points going into Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a 10.5-point dog at home. For Jahmyr Gibbs, the big things to stand out. He's getting 6 intended red zone touches a game, 2.3 of which are inside the 10-yard line. For comparison, David Montgomery getting 2.8 red zone opportunities a game, 1.8 inside the 10-yard line. So Gibbs' role is really strong. He is also facing a Cincinnati team that right now is giving up a ton of efficiency on running back targets, 0.4 EPA on those plays. And Gibbs has seen 21 running back targets, from the running back position so far this year. Gibbs, I think another play here, I would personally prefer to Devon Achane because that total is so high and the match for Cincinnati, just not a good defense at any front right now. Plus EPAs per drop back per pass, 0.07 EPA per run, which is pretty bad. So Gibbs, I think, in a really good spot. He's been great on the year, missing 24% of his tackles on run plays, 20% in pass plays. Target earning is 30% target per out run. Like, he's also got McCaffrey adjacent numbers. So Gibbs, another strong RB play. We'll see if it's possible to get to Gibbs Achane backfields. Feels like a lot of money to spend at running back, but you do have some potential savings. And if you do have a Rico Dowdle kind of value opening up, maybe pop him in the flex. But I'm curious to see how much Achane and Gibbs come up together in the optimals and some of the sim lineups. Jonathan Taylor, AK for him, facing a Vegas team that did not come ready to play in the pass game last week. Bunch of turnovers for Geno Smith, a sloppy ball there. Colts, though, 7-point favorite versus Vegas here at home. Vegas's defense has been tough versus the run. Really strong, actually, negative 0.2 EPA per rush allowed by Vegas's D. So maybe that inhibits Jonathan Taylor a little bit. But Taylor's still got a good role, 4.5 red zone opportunities a game, 2.5 which are inside the 10-yard line. He's also got a 30% avoided tackle rate, which is frankly a lot of juice for Jonathan Taylor compared to the mostly lateral back. I would say, in my opinion and based on the data, more of a Joe Mixon volume, but hanging in there, getting a lot of touches back than he is super shifty like a Gibbs, like a Bucky, like a Kenneth Walker. He's shown both this year. So I really don't have a critique for Jonathan Taylor other than the fact that he's 8K. I think Gibbs is a better play at 7,700. Achane, I get why in PPR he would come up a little bit more. The target workload for Jonathan Taylor is just not as high at 3.5 targets a game. He's catching 3.3 of them. For Achane, we're talking like what, 7? 6.3, catching 5 of them. That should creep up past 7, I would think, with Tyreek on. Really feel like for me with Jonathan Taylor, the price tag's a little bit high. Maybe that makes him more interesting, but people have seemed to be happy to play Taylor every week. So he'll come up, I think, a little bit here for players who are going to be playing on Sunday. Whether he comes up with the data, I'm not so sure because not a great value metric on Jonathan Taylor at that 8K salary. Jane Daniels not too far behind. Kyler not too far behind. But Jaden is your last guy over 20. So 5 players on the slate, or 6 players on the slate, have a projection over 20 fantasy points. Devon Achane, Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, and Jaden Daniels. In terms of top values right now, do I think the Raiders are getting too many points? No. Colts defense isn't that good. They're giving up plus EPAs for everything. Like, they're a good team. I think they're playing well right now. Are the Colts? Not really a hot take or anything there. But defensively, they're not Denver. They're not a defense I'm afraid of. So, honestly, I feel like Vegas's line is a little bit light. I'm surprised to see them be a 7-point dog. Obviously, the Colts have been running extremely hot, playing well. Raiders really looked so sloppy last week, and in particular, again, the pass game. Gentry looked fantastic, and his Michael Myers stance, the splits for Gentry and his quote-unquote Michael Myers stance, where he's like standing up straight as opposed to kind of being down to the knees like you're supposed to, more active athletic stance is why running backs get down low. For whatever reason, Gentry's got I think it's 150 yards, 3 touchdowns in his standing up stance, and then he's been awful when he's actually trying to do a more athletic crouch stance. I don't think that shit matters, but maybe it does a little bit because the Raiders were trying to get Gentry to change what he was doing. What he's done his entire career is working. Point being for the Raiders, if you don't have Brock Bowers, it gets a little bit uglier. Not that Bowers has been great, but that's one less weapon you have out there. You're talking about an offense led by Jacoby Myers. So I get why the total's low. I don't think they should be a 7-point dog. Apparently Montgomery's paraplegic sister will be at the game. What? Okay. Joe, give him a bump. By the way, Joe, a hero in yesterday's chat allowed me to make a point about the Thursday night slate. Just one thing I will say to you guys, I did say it on the Discord as well. Whenever my chat, whenever Stochastics chat, whenever Run Pierce chat, whenever Run the Sid, whatever chats there are out there doing showdown content, Neil Orfield's chat, whenever everybody's talking about the same build, just remember next time on a Thursday night football, everybody's going, and it wasn't just anybody in my community, it's everybody everywhere, expecting the Niners to get their ass kicked. And what happens? They end up stealing that game. Obviously, sort of a weird circumstance. Don't worry, Joe. I got it more right, and I still got killed because of the Puka play. But just remember that for showdowns next time when the Vegas total doesn't really support it, but everybody is piling on a team. Just don't play it that way. I really think last night, I wanted to say it here, and Joe reminded me, seeing him in the chat again. Just remember yesterday. Next time that happens, I'll beg of you, please. We got it's a true take. Unfortunately, Sanderson mentioned that on Davis's pods. The slappies will be on Montgomery. Oh, there, the paraplegic thing. Sure. I don't think that matters. So he'll score a touchdown or he won't. I don't think that means he has a crazy outlier day because his sister's there, but that's, whatever. A little more motivation. Sure. You want to give him a 0.1% boost, go nuts. First time she's seen him play since the accident. Okay. All right. Fair enough. I did not know you guys were this into the David Montgomery's paraplegic sister narrative. Frankly, gotta be real with you guys. I study everything about football as much as I can. Wasn't really on my radar. I don't think that makes you go for 200 yards, though. I think it's still a Gibbs day. But if you want to use it as a reason to play some Montgomery in lieu of Gibbs, sure. You have a kink. It's not a kink of losing money. Hopefully not a kink for paraplegic sisters. Your top value on the slate is Justin Fields. So another slate here, we don't have the crazy value, though there will be a few running back values to point to in a moment here. And again, no Rico Dowdle update here. I think he'll be a top value as well when they do update the data on Stochastic. But Fields number 1, Justin Herbert number 2 in terms of value. So another slate we're getting pushed more towards these slightly underpriced QBs. Same thing we've had on pretty much every DFS slate so far to start the year. So that's how that goes. Rashad White, 3.4 X value for him at 4,700. No Bucky Irving, my sweet boy, my boy who really actually was only advancing 10% of my best ball teams with Bucky. I don't know how that's possible with how well he played in particular last week. So he's not going to hopefully fuck up my best ball exposures. But Bucky likely out this week, might be out next week as well. Doesn't seem like a long-term injury as opposed to Braylon Allen, who's going to be out 8 to 12 weeks according to Aaron Glenn. Rashad White's actually been pretty good this year. Visually, I've been noticing it in games. I'm like, what the fuck is up with Rashad White? He actually looks kind of good. Analytically, he's doing it as well. Plus EPA per run, 0.14 EPA per rush. Actually been much more efficient than Bucky in the run game to start the year, which is not great. Still not missing a ton of tackles. It's never been Rashad White's game, only a 9% avoided tackle rate. But he's doing a lot better in the pass game as well. 22% target per out run, actually 23%, 63% avoided tackle rate when he gets an actual touch in the pass game. Rashad White's been pretty good. You have Sean Tucker there. The Bucks always a little bi-curious about Sean Tucker whenever the opportunity to get him out there when Rashad White's banged up, when Bucky Irving's banged up. Sean Tucker does get in the mix. But if I had to guess, Sean Tucker probably takes the 5 or so touches that Rachaad White. I mean, Rachaad White's getting 8 and 10 touches a game with Bucky. Bucky's been getting plus 20. So Rachaad White's touches probably go to Sean Tucker. Bucky's touches probably go Rachaad White's way. You still have Chris Godwin in. He got 10 targets in his debut, and I think people are sleeping on it a little bit because they're so in the bag for Big Emeka Egbuka. But Rachaad White, a good value play. It's a shitty matchup versus Seattle. It's a tough part. If they were playing Carolina, if they were playing a litany of these other defenses we talked about, I think Rachaad White would be a really strong play. As it is, though, 4,700, a Rachaad White, Rico Dowdle backfield will save you a lot of money. You're losing some upside, especially compared to those PPR scam guys up top, in particular Achane, Gibbs potentially as well. But Rachaad White is too cheap, 3.4x value. Saints D at number 4, also 3.4x value. They're going against the Giants. Jackson Dart so far. Let's look at his accuracy. Of course, my data sheet that I'm referencing here as we go, you guys get access to it if you join the channel here. Join the Discord as well. Basically, if you join the channel, you get access to the Discord and my data sheet. So premium video as well after this one, where I'll go game by game, going through all my data. So we'll get all the stuff for you guys coming up. Automatically redirected, I think. I might have forgotten to do that, but I'll do it while I do the video. Jackson Dart in his debut, 80% catchable ball rate, not super efficient, negative 0.2 EPA per drop back. So that includes his run plays. Negative 0.35 EPA per pass. He's also losing neighbors, which doesn't help out so much. New Orleans defense, though, not very good. Dart got crushed when he saw pressure. That's probably the big issue here. He had a negative 2.1 EPA on pressure plays. So I've seen pressure on a third of his dropbacks, 33% of the time, and has been really bad with it. Saints don't generate a ton of pressure, only a 3% QB hurry rate, but they get sacks 8% of the time. I don't see it for the Saints. I don't know. I don't think Dart's been lights out. Like, the running is really what got you there. Last game for him, he's averaging now across all of his appearances, 6 rushes per game, 1.5 in the red zone. Really ran in high leverage spots as well. But I don't know, man. Saints D versus Dart, I just don't think he falls apart like that. But Saints D is cheap at 2,200 and playing a rookie QB. So Saints D is probably going to come up a little bit too much for Stochastic if I had to guess with that price tag and that value metric. And number 5 in terms of value, another QB, Kyler Murray. Once again, same things here. QB, RB, DSC. At least we got that this week. But a bunch of QBs in a row here, and then we don't get another top value until Breece Hall. Again, Rico Dowdle will probably pop in as well as the top value, but for right now, another slate where the QBs are just underpriced relative to projection, according to Stochastic data. Kyler versus Tennessee. Not a guy I've really been thinking too much about. But I suppose for Kyler, the fact that you will have, unfortunately, no Trey Benson this week. Benson going to be on IR, probably going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Another kind of bummer of a take that you get James Conner out. If you have Trey Benson, he's now worthless for a little bit here. Should be a split backfield with Michael Carter and Amari DiMercato. Zonovan / Bam Knight should rotate in as well. But basically, you now have kind of shitty running backs in. One of the running backs pretty much derives all of his value through the pass game in DiMercato. I could see why Kyler looks a little bit better as a result. But really, for Kyler, I think this is more just weird projection math where if I had to guess, Stochastic's given him a little bit too much in projection because historical numbers would say Kyler should run more, but he's running 6 times a game, 0.5 inside the red zone. Like, he's running kind of like he's running less than Jackson Dart, which I don't think is a great cosign. I get why Kyler would come up because you would assume running backs out, more pass game work, more running for Kyler. But I don't know that's actually a thing that'll happen. And Tennessee is not good, but they also don't put up a lot on offense. So does Arizona get pushed in that way? Probably not, especially if Tennessee doesn't have Calvin Ridley. At that point, the Titans have like nobody to get open. Not that even Ridley gets open that well, but like they really have nobody to get open at that point if he does miss. I don't see it for Kyler here. I'd rather play Bryce Young going against Miami personally. All right, let's go to the ownership. Again, not been updated yet, unless they've done it while I've been talking, which would be great, but no, they haven't. So this is going to move around a lot. If I had to guess, you will see Rico Dowdle be one of the chalkiest plays of the week. That's why I put him on the thumbnail. And unfortunately, Stochastic usually updates their data before I do the stream. This didn't happen today, so might be too many injuries looming over their heads, and that's probably the guess why. All right. I had the captain. So you had Kyron Williams, the 3rd most popular captain. You got it right. That's showdown. That's how that goes. In all seriousness, David Montgomery going for 100, a touchdown, and 2 catches will pay off at 5,200. It gives you some leverage against, like if you want to follow that narrative. Again, whenever people bring up the narrative too much, I'm like, okay, that already gives me some red flags that like 3 different people brought it up in chat. But if you want to go to David Montgomery as like a fade of whatever ownership is going to funnel Rachaad White, given the matchup of the team total, I would get that. Whatever ownership's going to funnel to Rico Dowdle, I guess I would get that as well. I just don't know that having your sister there is going to make you get a ton of touches when the lead running back in front of you is getting so much work. But those guys have done that thing before where Montgomery subbed himself out to get Gibbs a touchdown. I'm sure vice versa has happened before, even though I can't recall it offhand. So maybe narratives driving projections is never something I'm going to be the guy for. Devon Achane, 47% expected ownership. That's going to come down, I think, when we do get the updates to reflect Rico Dowdle being in. Again, just a good value. Rico Dowdle's a guy that last year just kept piling up 100-yard games. Frankly, to me, I would say that for Rico Dowdle, he's probably a guy that casual players will like a little bit more. I thought he was rock solid last year. Actually took him a lot in big board drafts pre the NFL draft because I thought he was going to sign with somewhere that would value him and probably take him a little bit cheaper in the open market. Instead, he comes a backup here. But in reality, Rico Dowdle's like not any worse than Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard is literally just the guy, no matter what people who kind of made money off them last year chase it again this year. He doesn't miss tackles. He's not very efficient. Rico Dowdle's been slightly worse this year for what it's worth, but he's getting much less volume. But again, between these two guys, it's 25 implied touches. So if I had to guess, Rico Dowdle becomes at least a 20% play. But we'll see what Stochastic has, I guess, later in the week. Jonathan Taylor at number 2, 30% expected ownership. So expect to be chalky here. Again, they're a 7-point favorite against the Raiders team people don't respect. I'm pretty comfortable not playing Jonathan Taylor personally at 8K, but if a third of the field's going to be there, obviously he's not a bad play because that's how ownership works. And managed to empty the clip for Rico Dowdle. Probably not emptying the clip for anybody at this point, given how that's worked. You might not even have a clip at this point with some of the guys you picked up that are already hurt. Chuba's going to be week to week, so probably not. Like if you need a running back desperately this week, then you probably put some more money down in it. But your best case is he plays really well in a soft matchup, moves into a timeshare. But Chuba's getting paid well enough. He'll still be in the mix whenever he's healthy. So I personally wouldn't, but if you need a running back, he's the one of the week. Breece Hall at number 3, 24% expected ownership. Breece Hall, another very strong play. It's actually a really good RB week, I think. A lot of guys you can make a case for. The big thing for Breece Hall is, number 1, you are now getting Braylon out of the mix, which helps him out quite a bit here because Braylon now was taking away short yardage work. You're taking only about 7 touches a game, but was playing a good amount of snaps. So for Breece Hall, he's going to be on the field more against a team that sucks in the pass game. And Breece is getting targeted 36% of the time he's running a route out there. So the issue is that you still have Isaiah Davis running a good amount of routes. Breece is running 13.3 a game. Isaiah Davis is running 11.5. But my hope would be that Breece takes those Braylon Allen snaps a little bit more, gets more involved in the pass game just from being on the field more, and gets himself over 20 touches in this one. He's averaging 17.8 on the year instead of touches between his targets and his rushes. So I like Breece Hall here. Do think that he might get a little bit overstacked with Garrett Wilson as people's way to get unique. But the play works. Dallas is so bad versus every facet of the pass game, giving up, again, that 0.43 EPA per dropback, very high. I think the worst in the league right now, 0.48 EPA per pass as well. And also, they're giving up targets 23% of the time to running backs. So for Breece, if you don't play Garrett Wilson, I would say Breece Hall, I would say almost definitely should be in the lineup, but he should be in more lineups than not without Garrett Wilson, in my opinion. JSN, 24% ownership here. JSN's target share has come back down to earth a little bit. That said, Stochastic has projected him out the wazoo with 18.5 fantasy points, one of the highest projections of the week. I'm sure ETR will be similarly in love with JSN because every data site has been to start the year. But JSN versus Tampa Bay, not a great defense overall, giving up a plus EPA per dropback, plus EPA per pass. They're also very good versus the run game, so you should see more funnel JSN's way. Again, a better play on DraftKings than on FanDuel. He's been efficient enough. He's getting 2 deep targets a game. Not a great red zone target earner. Only 0.5 a game for him so far there through the first 4 weeks. But JSN at his price tag, feel like he will come in a lot here, and he probably a cash game play, I would think. And number 5 in terms of ownership is Trey McBride, 23% expected ownership for him. The workload's been good for him. Run game should be worse as well. So maybe some more increased touchdown equity for Trey McBride, who does continue to get red zone work and has scored the occasional touchdown this year. For McBride at 5,800, not a great tight end slate. And if you do get Brock Bowers out as well, McBride just kind of becomes your one pay up option there. So for Trey McBride, more pass game theoretically for Arizona, a team that on the year is passing already above expectation, 2.4% pass rate above expectation overall, 3.1% in the red zone. Those are all good things for Trey McBride. And frankly, Marvin Harrison coming back down to earth, maybe not scoring the touchdowns this week. That would make McBride probably his projection should come up if that just naturally flows away from Marvin Harrison Jr. Other ownership to note here, Omarion Hampton over 20 expected, Tyler Warren over 20 expected, Rashad White just under 20. So White probably keeps this number. Rico Dowdle comes in around the same number, would be the guess here. Justin Herbert, they're expecting 19% ownership for. That seems a little bit high. Barkley ownership seems high at 15% versus Denver. I would agree. People don't like to play power backs versus a tough defense, even though that is a play that hits very often, as I usually point out in this show. Denver does play a lot of man defense, though, so A.J. Brown should be his week to try to get back into the picture. People are afraid of Surtain, but in reality, A.J. Brown is seeing man defense should be enough to give him the ceiling a little bit there. And he's at 13% ownership. It's actually not a sneaky play, despite probably getting shadowed by Surtain. Zay Flowers, tough to play him with Lamar likely not playing, but 10% ownership there. Tet McMillan, the biggest beneficiary from this match versus Miami, most likely 9% ownership for him. Anybody else going down the chain here? Jalen Hurts under 5. Not a lot of elite QBs on the slate. Really just him and Jaden. Jaden at 4 feels light to me in a competitive spot, especially if Debo is in and McLaurin and Noah Brown are out, which they are. The Debo Ertz stack with Jaden, that's going to be light. And Chuba Hubbard was expected for low ownership. Obviously, he'll get none because he's not going to play. One thing I'll note real fast, T. Higgins, man defense matchup for him, 3% expected ownership. He's getting targeted 40% of the time versus man defense. That's been the splits. Basically been beating out Jamar Chase versus man for a season plus now. Just going to highlight that quickly. Woody Marks at 3% if you want to chase that. Darren Waller, 2% if you want to chase that. David Montgomery, apparently the ownership did not get the paraplegic sister narratives. 2.1% ownership for David Montgomery. Let's go to the solver next. And again, this data will update, guys. So do check out Stochastic if you can. Again, no final takes video this week for me. This is going to be the last time you see me pour through all the data here. So please do check out Stochastic, 15% off. They will update the data. If I had to guess, you'll get an update for Rico Dowdle and whatever other injuries end of day today. Probably, if not, first thing tomorrow. I will still put up my matchup sheet, though we're leaving early tomorrow, but keep an eye peeled for it on the community tab on YouTube and on the Discord. But yeah, that's basically just check the data because shit's going to move. All right. Let's go classic here. We got default settings. So we're going to build our cash game optimal lineups here using ETR data. Main thing to note with ETR data, of course, is that used by a ton of people. That's the first thing. The second thing is going to be that we're building off of projections here just to get a read on what players get in the lineups more. Because basically the way that projection math works is that when players get in a lot with no variance, no stacking rules on, those players end up being often the most important players on the slate. Yesterday, we talked about it for the showdown, running a cash game optimal. Across the top 25, it was 100% Christian McCaffrey, 100% Puka Nacua. That meant right away that if you fade one of those guys, it gets you off the beaten path pretty noteworthily in a showdown slate. Similar principles here for a main slate. Last week, Chris Olave was in every lineup. If you faded him, you didn't have to do a whole lot else to get less chalky. That's the principle of how things work. If you're new to the process here, because we get more users every week, more viewers every week here on the channel. All right. Your cash game lineups. I didn't update the projections because I was talking. All right. Change this to 4-9. Change this to 3-9. There we go. Got to make 2 changes here so it will optimize, and we did that. My brother-in-law, my wife's brother. I don't have a sister. There we go. Joe knew it. Joe knows familial connections, but yes. Yeah, that's why. Top lineup right now, the cash game optimal. Justin, I think I see like I knew saying it that somebody was gonna think that because like I know how human brains work. But nobody said anything, so I'm like, all right, cool, everybody's on the same page. But yes, it's correct. Justin Fields, Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achane, Jalen Waddle. Did not see Stochastic pushing Waddle as much. ETR has had a fucking boner for Waddle in the Miami offense for literal years, so not surprised to see Waddle get the boost here. I mean, Waddle should absorb a lot of Tyreek's role. That said, not the biggest Waddle believer in the world, to be honest, but I get him coming in here in a cash game, sure. Chris Olave, 5,200, he makes it. JSN, 7,100, he makes it. Tyler Warren at tight end is your cash game play. ETR is updated for Rico Dowdle. He's got a 15-point projection. So basically about where Chuba Hubbard was. He is in the flex in this cash game lineup. And Saints D. Leaving a little bit of salary on the table in the cash game, but I guess nothing surprising here. Maybe Olave a little bit. Olave has still had a good underlying role. Wouldn't have thought he'd be in the first lineup in a cash game, though. JSN is at 100% in these lineups, so he will probably be your most popular data player of the week. We saw Stochastic pushing him pretty heavily. I tend to think that Stochastic data likes, really just data in general. Probably Sabersim too, but Stochastic data, ETR data, I think they like JSN more than casual players do. At least that's my sense on all these slates so far. That could mean play more JSN, but especially with JSN coming off the bad week last week, I definitely wouldn't fade JSN or anything this week, but I'm just saying it out loud that it seems like the data providers like JSN more than guys who are actually building lineups on a toilet kind of thing. Michael Carter was at 12 points on Stochastic. He's really not that good of a play. It's 12.6 here on ETR. I would much rather have Rico Dowdle personally. Would much rather have Rachaad White. There's just no guarantee of that role, and people on social media are reading too much into Michael Carter saying he's going to be a starter. In reality, it's almost definitely going to be a timeshare. You're still going to get Bam Knight in. And, Trey Benson is legit been very good. He still wasn't playing that well in this rushing offense. I don't know why Michael Carter would. But I've noted too, across social media, across Discords I'm in, people have been really talking about Michael Carter too much. And I don't know, man. I would worry less about Michael Carter personally. JSN, Saints D, Jonathan Taylor, Justin Fields, some of the top options here are coming up a lot, but JSN's the only one coming up at 100% of the top 25 lineups. Overall player stacks, 68% of these lineups have Chris Olave and Saints D. Jonathan Taylor and Tyler Warren at 40% here. So some natural stacking occurring, I guess you could call that, but nothing too crazy. JSN and Rachaad White as a bring back come up at 45% of these lineups. So maybe that Seattle Bucks game stack comes in a little bit more than people would want projection wise. Then team stack wise, 72% of these lineups have at least two Saints. It's a lot of Saints. 64% of these lineups have at least two Jets. 56% has at least two Colts. So those teams right away, Saints, Jets, Colts, going to be kind of naturally stacked up more than I would think. All right, we got a sim live here. So let's build in our stack settings. I appreciate the super chat. Let me get to that in a minute. Load the templates. All right. And let's boost stacks here to get more game stacking, which is always my goal. And I always forget to save it every week. Let's go 17.5% stack boost for running backs, 17.5% for opponents, 25% for our pass catchers with the QB. Those are our stack rules here. We got variants on. All right, cool. We're good. All right, so let's build 250 lineups. We'll sim them out here, guys. And shout out Mike for the super chat. I appreciate that. Good luck this weekend. Thanks for all your work, Spags. Thanks for being a good part of the channel, Mike. I appreciate you. Would you rather have JCM or Carter and season long? Fucking neither. I don't know. JCM, you're getting Jaden back this week. The role was a little bit improved, I guess, with Eckler out last time, but I don't McNichols is taking too much away. Rodriguez is taking too much away. I don't really like Carter either. I'd probably go JCM, but I don't know, man. Season long, get new teams. Sorry, I'm not trying to be mean. I just neither really. Rico Dowdle as a bench piece, JCM. Trey Benson comes in at some point again. Michael Carter is literally roster shit. For JCM, at least they got rid of guys to keep him there. He has been obviously one of the biggest disappointments of the year, but he still has an opportunity there. But really neither's one you have to have. I'd say if you're just trying to drop somebody on waivers, you could probably get away with dropping JCM more than Michael Carter because people will be he's the buzzy waiver pickup of the week. Yeah, his underlying numbers are good besides actually getting touches and doing well when catching passes, which are two of the most important things for a running back. Choose death. I wouldn't choose death, but I would definitely not choose either guy, really. I don't really think so. I don't think so. He broke out week 1. That was his breakout. That was the ceiling game. At this point, he needs another running back to go down, which is honestly happening more than you would like to see this year. Like there's more viable RB3 guys that were not getting drafted at all in best ball that are, in play. Why is this going so fucking slow? Like this is taking fucking forever. Usually this is done by now. Joe, you're killing me, man. Catching 2 balls does fucking nothing. Like it's really nothing. Stop. No, don't bag defend. Don't, like, please accept players how they are in the season that they're in and then reassess it in the offseason. Just because you like JCM, you feel like you got good value in him or whatever format of gambling you took him, you don't have to keep playing him. You move on. Take somebody else. So like you don't get better in Pass Pro in 4 weeks. You don't get better in Pass Pro 2 playing no legit competition in college. Anyway, whatever. Play JCM. Everybody play JCM. Go nuts. But the reality for him, in my opinion, is that like Rodriguez is now as good of frankly, he was the entire time. He's as good of a runner in this offense as JCM is, and he's actually on the active roster. Now that he's not, you think the 1 week is going to be what fucking gets him there? You think the 1 week is going to make him all of a sudden become an every down back when they work in Jeremy McNichols as much as him, Joe? Oh, Joe, you get my blood pressure going, man. I know we have to fill time while the optimizer runs, guys. Some of you guys, man. Some of you guys, I want you to find Jesus. I really do. You think heavy Jets builds should almost definitely have at least one Cowboys bring back, likely Pickens or Ferg? I mean, in general, you should have more bringbacks than not. Those two, Javonte. I mean, you're trying to capture the game environment there. Do I think you need it? Like in terms of if you were just building a parlay and you had a million shots at a parlay, you could probably get away without having a bring back. But in reality, you're just trying to capture these outlier game environments. So talked about it really in the beginning part of the season in particular, but ETR had a really good video. I don't know how you would find it now, to be honest, about their findings right before the season started. Would say that like basically the results from that were that people underplay bringbacks, people underplay game stacks, people underplay onslaughts and tournaments because they have a lot more, top 1% finishes that people actually play. So in general, you should almost always be trying to get a bring back if you can, given a boost and all that. But like I think a lot of people playing this game environment will try to game stack it because the Jets, frankly, you're probably gonna get more mileage out of like if a double stack were to hit with Garrett Wilson and Brees or Garrett Wilson plus Mason Taylor, like people will play that less. But I think people will probably play the Cowboys bring back as much as they're supposed to. So like, yes, you should do it. It doesn't mean like, doesn't mean you have to do it. I guess the best way to put it. Chuba day to day, missed multiple games. He's week to week. I guess, he might be day to day, but like he's not going to play this week. So I would assume he gets back in next week. See no Lions. That surprised me. They're very expensive. That's the issue. I would have thought Gibbs would project better than Taylor personally, but Taylor doesn't have a David Montgomery. So I think that's the reason why. And you got to remember too, the Colts total's at 27.5 and Taylor has a better share of the offense. Whereas, Detroit's total's 30, but Gibbs is a slightly worse share of the offense. So kind of comes out in the wash. Jets are going to get there through a boat race. Jets get there via push/catch up. I mean, yeah, I think that total to me, Jets will, Breece Hall said it really well last week. Like they'll shoot themselves in the foot, or the other team will shoot themselves in the foot, and the Jets will shoot themselves in the head. I believe his exact quote. They do that a lot. The Cowboys do that a little bit less. So I guess like your one concern, maybe the Cowboys run hot in the beginning, score a bunch of points, and the Jets just kind of fuck themselves over and over again. I still like the game environment enough. The Bucs will trade for Deuce Vaughn to save their. Yeah, probably not. Probably not. Maybe to make Bucky Irving look bigger. But guys, while we wait for this never-ending optimizer, I have variance on too, and it's just like, no, the variance isn't on. That's why. It said it was on. Bad showing by the solver. I'm like, why is this going so fucking slow? And that's the reason why. All right, fuck me. Here, just put in 55 more. I've never seen the solver go that slow. But if you guys saw it said variance ETR, so I thought we were good. We are not. What are my top 3 game environments? I can't tell you. Watch the premium video and I'll be able to go through that game by game. But I doing that off the top of my head right now. But Miami, Carolina, Jets, Dallas. Those are the ones that come to mind first. In terms of play volume, yeah, that's just easier for me to do going game by game. Sorry, not trying to duck your question. It's just like, that's an involved question to do for free. This is being real about it. We got what tournaments to use here. Oh, you could sim out the ETR listener league with 500 entries. The slant's got 13K in it for a 150 max. The Mega Mini Max has 24K entries. Let's use that as a sim. Use the portfolio tool as well on the solver. Great addition to what they're doing this year in the product. Let's run the simulator here. And we'll see what ETR thinks. Stochastic sim, quite frankly, might be less valuable if they don't update for Rico Dowdle by the time we finish this year. Oh my God. I love Justin Fields. It's a lot of Fields to see immediately. Your top ROI lineup according to ETR, 354% ROI, simming the largest 150 max tournament that we can. Justin Fields, Jonathan Taylor, Rico Dowdle makes it in. Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, so a Cowboys bring back on this one. JSN, Sam Laporta, Breece Hall, the double stack coming in, and Saints D. So Jets double, Pickens bring back. Really chalky around that with JSN, Rico, Jonathan Taylor. Sam Laporta is your low owned piece, basically. And it looks like actually they didn't update Rico's ownership, which is stupid. So they updated Rico's projection, but they only have him for 1% ownership. That's going to move the sim around too. Can any of these companies just update shit Friday morning so I can like give a decent look? I know there's been a lot of injuries. I get it. Your number 2 ROI lineup is Justin Fields, Jonathan Taylor, Rico Dowdle, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, JSN, Trey McBride, Breece Hall, Saints D. So really, this looks like a chalky-ass lineup, but it thinks Rico Dowdle is low owned, so that's it. Olave, they're probably overprojected for ownership a little bit, but the usage has been there for him. I think people will hop off, though, after he was kind of chalky and failed a couple weeks so far this year. But this lineup here, kind of surprised. This feels a little basic. Number 3 is Fields again, Jonathan Taylor again, Rico Dowdle again, Chris Olave again, Garrett Wilson again, JSN again, Breece Hall again. But you get Jake Ferguson at tight end, Colts D. This is some chalky shit. Number 4, and again, keep in mind, this means ETR users probably get fed a lot of Justin Fields stacks this week. Number 4 is Fields, Taylor, Rico, Jalen Waddle makes it in, Garrett Wilson, JSN, Jake Ferguson, Breece Hall, Saints D. Holy shit, samey. Number 5, Justin Herbert. A little different here. Herbert, Saquon, Rico Dowdle makes it in. Did they just update Rico while I was talking? JSN, Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, Tyler Warren, Omarion Hampton, Saints D. So a triple stack with Herbert and no bring back. All right. I don't even know what to make of these lineups. Like these feel like ETR cash game lineups to me, but with, a little more of a stack boost for Garrett Wilson, basically. Who do I think is going to be my highest exposed player this week? Highest exposed low-owned player this week? I don't really think about slates like that. If Jaden's going to be 3% owned like Stochastic thinks, probably him. But I usually let the math kind of do stuff, and then my game stacking. So not a great answer. Sorry, but like these, you guys sometimes ask questions that are not the way I think about slates. That's why a little hard for me to come off the top of the dome. But don't need the Pocket Cup qualifiers. I have no clue what that is. So no. Surprised Malik Washington isn't sneaking in. I'm surprised we're not getting more Waddle too, to be honest. But overall, in these top lineups, your highest ROI player is Rico Dowdle. He's in 24% of the lineups. He's a 200% ROI. I think he looks like a good play, but the ETR ownership is not right. So I'm not sure that's actually going to hold when they do update and give him like 20% expected ownership. Cardinals D, 170% ROI. Titans have been egregiously bad. Cam Ward, also worst QB in football right now. 73% catchable ball rate is worst of any QB playing this week. Titans, I don't know how they get better, to be honest. The team total is a little bit higher this week at 17, and the Arizona defense has not been very good this year, in particular in defending the pass. But I don't know. People play against the Titans, like the defense against the Titans too often. And I think even the Sims are pushing it a little bit too often. So I get why it's coming in here, but Cardinals D, number 2 ROI player, according to ETR. Saquon Barkley at number 3, he's only in 2% of lineups, but he has a 156% ROI. So when he hits, he theoretically wins you all the money. Colts D is in only 2% of lineups, but it's 153% ROI. Broncos D is in barely any lineups at all, but 148% ROI. So your highest ROI things were all defenses, presumably because ETR here is using the defense to get unique and playing a lot of chalk. Michael Carter, high ROI for you Michael Carter fans. Yeah, it does not make this look like a fun slate, I gotta say. But let's see what Stochastic has here. I'm gonna probably be building a lot of my lineups on the train this week, which might mean more hand building. And I don't know if that's gonna be a good thing or a bad thing. But let's build our 10,000 lineups here. Let me actually make sure it's stochastic data. Yeah, it still hasn't been updated. So we're going to get an old version of the data, which means Rico Dowdle not going to be correct. I guess I can move his projection. Maybe I'll do that. But guys, show some love if you can. Hit the like button, subscribe here. Feel like the slate, I was really enthusiastic for the slate, kind of looking through the data. I like some of the matchups. I like the fact that I could stack Fields, I could stack Jaden, and kind of like the situations they're in. Miami, Carolina, I think also looking pretty good. Go to the data here. Feel a little bit less enthusiastic about it, I guess is the way to say it. But this is what I do here on stream, guys. I go through all the data as best I can. I try to give you my most honest takes on the slate. How I view things before, how I view things as a result of looking through all this stuff. To me, this is what your process should like, whether you are doing content like I'm doing, or if you're just somebody who, I don't know, is playing on your own and just figuring out, like, run the sims, look through all the data, get a read on what everybody else is going to play, and try to go from there. Let's try to get more Rico Dowdle in, because I'm going to try to boost his projection. Here, let's fucking 10x this. Take Chuba out entirely. Let's see if this allows me to get some Rico in, because I would like this to be useful. I don't know. To be different, play ATN. I just wouldn't play the running backs at that point. Like, yeah, you can play Trevor Etienne. I don't think you have to. You have enough running backs out there to do something else. Fading all the cheap RBs, that's a very credible way to do that, because you likely have one cheap RB sneaking in. I do think Rachaad White's a decent play. Would feel a lot better about it, like I mentioned, if it weren't against Seattle. That's that. But yeah, I definitely would not view it this way. I like Dowdle, but it seems a little risky. I would play Trevor Etienne first. That's insane. Like, you play the projections. Etienne's not going to have a projection of any note at all. Play somebody else. Play expensive guys. Play Rachaad White. Play David Montgomery. Like, do something else. Don't play. You have to play Trevor Etienne. Afternoon slate or something. Small slate. Play Trevor Etienne. Personally, that's how I'd view it. But follow your hearts, guys. Can only try to keep you from jumping off the cliff. All right, we got some Rico lineups in. I'm going to also boost his projection here, so hopefully he will actually get into some lineups. We'll give him 15 flat fantasy points. And Chuba's already out of the player pool for me, but give him 0. All right, 35% to first. We got something here. This isn't, I got to say, this is an asinine take. No reason to play Dowdle. Why would there be no... Steven, between you and Joe, you guys are going to drive me to insanity. I have enough white hairs from the lifestyle I've chosen. Yes, there's a very good reason to play Rico Dowdle. The starter who plays in the team is vacating 17.5 intended touches, including targets that are going to lead you to PPR points. Like, Rico Dowdle might not hit this week, but he's 4,300. He put up endless 100-yard games for an absolute dog shit team last year. And he's not much worse than the guy he's replacing in Chuba Hubbard. So yes, there's a lot of reason to play Rico Dowdle. It's a lot of reason, whether you play him or not. Like, you can't say there's no reason to play him, and there's reason to play Trevor Etienne. That's fucking insane. Like, unforced errors, and I say this for myself too, unforced errors in DFS are the most important thing to avoid. To say a guy is not a credible play when he's going to be one of the chalkiest plays of the week, plays become chalk because they're good plays, not because everybody in a 700,000 person tournament's a fucking idiot. Like, that's not how it goes. I love, Steven, I appreciate you thinking differently. Like, there's a point where you're thinking too differently. That's that. Good, I fucking can't. I'm not gonna make you run a lap, but I should. No reason to play Dowdle already. It's just people It's people. I mean, I'm not trying to pin Steven down. Maybe he's had a lot of great success. I don't want to say it, but a lot of times people where it's like you're looking for a panacea for why you're not winning big every week. You see, sometimes people have a contrarian take and it wins them all the money. But in reality, the contrarian take is like play fucking Saquon. It's play the expensive backs. It's fade Rico and fade Rashad White in a build and play expensive guys, play cheap receivers and cheap tight end. That's the way to think about it. Not like I can't play the guy's 4,300 who projects well and is filling in for a bell cow back who's drafted top 50 in best ball and, in ADP wise across every format. Like it's not, I try to help you guys and tell you hopefully how to think about it better. Lessons I had to learn myself the hard way, fancy play syndrome, like avoid it if you can. No, that's still a results-based process, Steven. It's the whole fucking thing. It doesn't fucking matter. It's because you guys are giving me awful questions, but being real about it. I'm just going to ignore the chat. I'm going to ignore the chat. There was a guy yesterday, as Nolan points out, somebody asking about Jimmy Garoppolo in the showdown slate. I just don't know why people are getting dumber when we're in week 5. That's really the big issue for me. We should be getting smarter as we go. You have a month of data from this year. You have years of how long you've been gambling. You should be using this to get smarter, not to suggest playing Jimmy Garoppolo in a showdown, not to suggest playing Trevor Etienne. I want that for you guys. Top lineup here, but I'm done with it. Top lineup here. Bryce Young, I've been as kind. Otherwise, if I keep going, I'm going to get mean. I did not fade Bourne. I actually played a lot of Bourne. Trust me, it's not why I'm tilted. I think I'm tilted because I played too much Puka and he put up fucking 22 points, still didn't make the winning lineup. Bryce Young, but I'm not tilted. It's just bad thoughts. I hate bad thoughts. That's always been me. Bryce Young, Rico Dowdle, Devon Achane, Nico Collins, Tet McMillan. You know what I'm like? You guys watch Alien Earth at all? I'm like Boy Cavalier. Like I want somebody who can talk to me and give me good thoughts. I want the eyeball monster to sneak into you guys and not tell me to play Trevor Etienne over Rico Dowdle. That's what I want. I want somebody I can converse with. It's not going to give me Jimmy Garoppolo in a showdown or give me, who do you want? JCM or Michael Carter? Nobody. None of them. Because you're a fucking idiot, Steven. You're a fucking idiot. I'm also hamming it up for the fucking camera. Do I have to give that away? I'm done. Steven, take a fucking lap. You're a fucking retard. I don't use that word. You're a fucking retard. You're not smart. That's why you're losing. Because you want to play Trevor Etienne. Fix it. Bryce Young, Rico Dowdle, Devon Achane, Nico Collins, Tet McMillan. That guy's probably got a Coke ring. Same page. People know. Guy's trying to be a snowman. Bryce Young, Rico Dowdle, Devon Achane, Nico Collins, Tet McMillan, Jalen Watt. I hate stupidity, guys. I hate it. But in any aspect of life. Hate when Luka doesn't try either. I want you guys to try. Don't yell at him like I do you guys. but that's it. Trey McBride, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saints D. So a Carolina double, 2 bringbacks here. Good game environment, Miami, Carolina. That's what you're getting in this one. I'm glad this rules. I'm glad my eroding sanity being hammed up for camera. It's bringing people joy. Justin Fields at number 2, just a single stack here. Number 2 ROI according to Stochastic. Fields, Rico Dowdle, Devon Achane, Garrett Wilson, Jacoby Myers, Marvin Harrison, Tyler Warren, Jahmyr Gibbs, Eagles D. So that is not a crazy lineup. It's definitely contrarian more than I felt like ETR was giving me. Jacoby Myers gets in, Harrison gets in. Certainly Jacoby Myers, if Brock Bowers gets ruled out, the projections will come up enough where it'll be another popular play again. But Harrison Jr., it feels like a kind of unique approach here. I appreciate the super sticker. Thank you for that. Justin Fields at number 3, a single plus a bringback. So really not overstacking Fields like ETR's data was giving me. Fields, Achane, Rico Dowdle, George Pickens, Zay Flowers, Garrett Wilson, Trey McBride, Jalen Waddle, Commanders. Number 4 is Fields again. So 3 out of the top 5 lineups are Field stacks, but not really big ones. Fields, Rashad White, Devon Achane, Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown, Tet McMillan, Tyler Warren, Jahmyr Gibbs again, Saints D. Number 5, Sam Darnold double. Sam Darnold, Devon Achane, Ashton Genty, JSN, Chris Olave, Cooper Kupp, Trey McBride, Alvin Kamara, Saints. All right, so these teams, to me, feel a little more unique, a little more on the nose than ETR's did. I just feel like ETR was giving me what like their data team likes, which is fine. These, at least you're getting some unique wrinkles. It is still field singles, but this one at least single and a bring back. I'm cool with that. Yeah, I think just pushing some Fields doubles. Like I do like that part of what ETR gave us. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you for my troubles. I appreciate it. It's like, it's fine. Just like the guy, like, oh, I'm getting to you. You're not getting to me. You're just like, you're not thinking smart. I want, want you guys to give me smart stuff back. Give me, man, I've been looking through all this data. There's this guy, Matt Butler, who DMs me sometimes. Like, he's really well, like, he's not right super often, but he gives me like these really well thought out takes and like gives me the whole thing. And I'm like, wow, you've made me think about this a little bit. That's what I dream of. Not, I'm going to play Trevor Etienne. Not, I'm going to play Jimmy Garoppolo. Those I don't want. I'm sorry. Today is just a day where it's coming out. You can play Shador. Yeah. If you got points per shitty mime interview leagues, load up on Shador. Put Shador and Trevor Etienne because nobody wants to talk to Trevor Etienne. So he's basically like a mime because he doesn't fucking matter. He's going to put up 70 points this week. Justin Fields, an 8% ROI. Stochastic loving Fields here. He's chalky, but they're giving you a shitload of him in your top lineups, and he has an 8% ROI across the top 150. Rashad White, a 7% ROI here. Your number 2 guy. So did not see him coming up in those top lineups, but he has a $4,700 salary and a top ROI. So Stochastic users probably going to play a lot of Fields and Rashad White here. ETR did not seem as big on Rashad White. Number 3 is Saints D, a 5% ROI there. Rico Dowdle at 15-point projection. He now is a top 5 ROI guy because that's what happens when a starter is out and a player at 4,300 gets a 15-point projection. I don't know who I'm saying that to. QB plus 1 stacks. 8% ROI for Fields in a single stack, and nobody else is a positive number, but Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert are the closest. QB plus 2 stacks, your doubles. Fields is the highest ROI. Nobody else is a positive number, but Kyler Murray, CJ Stroud, Daniel Jones are the closest at having a positive ROI and a double. QB plus 3 stacks. Justin Fields, the only positive ROI player. Everybody else negative, but the closest is Baker Mayfield, Dak Prescott, CJ Stroud, and Spencer Rattler. So this is a real dominant sim showing for Justin Fields, according to Stochastic data. And I did not tweak that at all. Redraft 4-man standard, Cam Grady or Ross Dwelly. I mean, Ross Dwelly had a shot, I think, if with George Kittle getting hurt. So I'd go Cam Grady. I don't know. I don't even know who he is. So I'd take that upside shot. But Trevor Etienne over all of them. Bryce Young can't see off the O-line when they stand up. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why they're going to possibly pay him $150 million. They almost did it this offseason, but I don't think they found the right price point with his reps. You can't throw over the line though at all, and he'll never play in the league. And Trevor Etienne is going to be one of the benefits. Devon Achane, your number 1 guy here across the top 150, 65% exposure. Fields at 46. So Etienne looking, or not Etienne, fucking Etienne now in the brain. Achane looking like a play here. Not going to sneak up on anybody because he is Stochastic's top projected guy. Also one of the top values. That said, for Devon Achane here, 18% positive leverage. He is chalky, but the Sims want you to get even more, which, means that a lot of people here playing Stochastic Sims this week going to be force-feeding Achane in, it looks like. Trey McBride, 42% exposure. Fields at 24, so almost a 2x stay on a Trey McBride. Another big exposure number here. That said, all these guys under 50%. Achane, the only one in over half of Stochastic's top 150 lineups. Rico Dowdle, again, with that 15-point projection I gave him at 4,300, he's getting into 41% of these lineups. It also looks like 19% expected ownership here, which is about what we would have estimated looking at Rashad White's ownership. Rico Dowdle, again, very obvious cash game play. You want to debate him for tournaments? I get it. Just don't play Trevor Etienne instead. Rashad White, 41% ownership. Exposure. Fields at 17. So Sims looking at Rico Dowdle and Rashad White is basically the same play here. Rico Dowdle, slightly worse ROI than Rashad White, but I think both these guys here are going to come up a good amount for people that are trying to save money at the running back position. He's not on the slate. He's on the slate. So no. You could play him for season long, I suppose. You could play him in the Sunday night game but this is a DraftKings slate, and Travis Etienne is not on the slate. So no, I appreciate you trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Saints D, 40% ownership expected, or in Stochastic's top 150, 14% expected overall. So your top 5, Achane, McBride, Rico, Rashad White, and Saints D, all really noteworthy stands here for those top guys. Overall, highest leverage guys, the players that Stochastic wants you to get more than the field on. Oh, is that it? Okay. I don't look at this point, consigliere. I don't know what the joke is. I'm just trying to keep my brain from bleeding from the suggestions I'm receiving. Saints D, your highest leverage player, 26% more in the field. Rashad White at number 2, 23% more in the field. Rico Dowdle, 22% more in the field just behind him. Justin Fields is in a third of these lineups. They want you to get 21% more in the field here. Field will play Fields a lot. That's weird to say that. The players playing on Sunday will put a lot of Fields lineups out there, 13% exposure. Stochastic is basically telling you it's almost 3x that. Trey McBride, 19% leverage here. So, look, Stochastic has their version of chalk as well. And it is Saints D, Rachaad White, Rico Dowdle, Justin Fields, Trey McBride. Let's play Jackson Dart, win all the money. Ownership here, big fade on Jonathan Taylor. Only 8% exposure in the top 150, Fields at 31. So that is a negative 23% leverage for him. Saquon Barkley, despite ETR, he came up not very often, but when he did come up, it was in a very high ROI lineup. Saquon Barkley, 4% exposure, Fields at 14. So that's a negative 10% leverage for him in Stochastic's top 150. Quentin Johnston, 8% exposure, Fields at 17. So half the ownership for Quentin Johnston. Does feel desperately like Quentin Johnston is due to regress. Ladd McConkey due to be a little bit better. And I am not a Ladd believer, but like Ladd's numbers are so bad right now. Quentin Johnston's are so hot. Like I think those level out here. So I get what the sim is doing. You're getting half the Fields exposure on Quentin Johnston, negative 9% leverage. Omarion Hampton and 10% of Stochastic's top 150. Fields expected to play him about 2x that. So that's a negative 9% leverage on him in their top 150 lineups. And Justin Herbert, ETR liking him a lot. Stochastic liking him less. 9% exposure in their top 150. Fields at 18. That's negative 9% leverage. All right, let's do a hand build here. We're going late. Having to yell at Steven has ruined my flow. We're okay. He'll dislike the video, but maybe he'll learn a helpful life lesson. After this chat, I'm sure the paraplegic narrative sounds like I gotta say, it's now definitely not bottom 5. It's not. You gotta say, whenever the chat hurts me, drives me insane, the chat brings me back up. That's why I appreciate you guys. All right, let's go. Let's build this lineup out. We're gonna give the sim what it wants. We're gonna give me what I want. Justin Fields is our QB here. Easy, stack him up with Garrett Wilson. No problems. What's the issue here? Garrett Wilson, come on down. 16.5 projection, getting targeted a crazy amount. We are gonna go to a Fields Wilson double. Oh, now we're just tilting me. The audio's fucked up. Jaden's bad. Jaden's hurt. Who knows? Dart with Wandale and or Slayton Theo. Wandale will be my preferred guy. Kind of want to see it in practice for 1 week. Like Wandale was not making a crazy good connection with Jackson Dart even last week when Neighbors tore his ACL and was done. But I think Wandale's in play. Somebody asked about him before. I think Wandale's in play. He's not a priority, though, and I think he might get overowned just because people are going to assume he naturally fills in and becomes weak Neighbors. I don't think that's the case. He probably has a good ceiling. But at a 20 implied point total, I don't know. I don't think that's the case. I think Cam Scadaboo is really the biggest winner here because they're going to slog it out. It's going to be Jackson Dart running. It's going to be Scadaboo getting some checkdowns and probably way more touches at running back than he should get at this stage of things. That's my guess, but like I get why Wandale. And I think playing the stack is fine. But people are going to go to Wandale. People are going to assume he just becomes Neighbors, and you might be better off playing Slayton this week because Slayton's going to be the one getting those downfield targets that Dart's actually really good at. Big part of why Trey Harris got drafted is Jackson Dart's ability at Ole Miss to feed the X receiver and make it useful. So Slayton, I think, did not pay off with Russ. I don't know. All right, running backs this week. Do we pay down? I mean, we know the sim is going to want Achane. Pretty confident in that. Like, I'm going to go Rico here. I'm going to make sure the projection is the one that we want here. And let's give him also 20% ownership. So the sim will hopefully reflect reality or what the reality will be. Does it give me 2 fucking... All right, whatever. All right, 15. I'm going to put Rico Dowdle in here. Let's just see how it looks to put Rico and Rachaad White in. So our pay down backfield with Fields and Garrett Wilson. At receiver, we know the sim will like JSN. And I can live with that. Let's go JSN. I am also going to go little micro correlation. I like Chris Godwin's role. So I've seen people be incorrect about Chris Godwin this past week. I forget who it was, but there was somebody who I watched on a regular basis earlier in the week, and I don't want to throw anybody in the bus anyway. It was like Chris Godwin's only playing out wide. Chris Godwin last week had 7 targets out of the slot, 3 out wide. He did play out wide more than he probably should. But basically at this point, for Chris Godwin, he looks low owned. He got 10 targets last week, including 2 deep targets, 1 in the red zone. I think Egbuka is still fine. But he's kind of expensive. Godwin is cheap at 5,900. And Godwin, despite the injury, coming off like a catastrophic injury, played 58 snaps, ran 38 routes, which is more than Egbuka's had averaged on the year. I think Godwin's a strong play this week, and nobody's talked about him, and people have been actively wrong about how he played last week, probably because they didn't watch. Want to switch screens? Sure. So I'm going to go to Chris Godwin here. Thank you, Justin. So we got Fields, Dowdle, Rachaad White, Garrett Wilson, JSN, Chris Godwin. Tight end. Yeah, Joe, you can do whatever you want. You can fade Fields. You and Steven should both fade Fields and play Trevor Etienne. Though, Joe, I do like you. You're still in my good graces. But don't fade Fields. He's going to be highly owned. You don't have to fade, as the Sims have showed us, and this is the point of the Sims. You don't have to fade every highly owned player. It's a really important part of DFS that this whole thing is teaching us, and people still don't fucking get it. Tight end. Trey McBride, Sim will like, but I'll go with a bring back of Jake Ferguson here. It's going to leave us a lot of salary, I think, for these last two spots. 5,800 per spot. Let's go defense. Cards D is the highest price versus Tennessee. Lions D versus Jake Browning. Browning has been really bad, man. So I'm going to go Lions D versus Jake Browning. 8K left for the flex spot. We could go Jonathan Taylor. The Sim was fading pretty actively. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jahmyr Gibbs. I can go with here. Leave 300 on the table. So the team that we're building here, because I did not have the screen up, as Justin helpfully pointed out, Fields, Rico, Rachaad White, Garrett Wilson, JSN, Chris Godwin, Jake Ferguson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Lions. Let's sim it out, see if we get a positive number. And if not, I give up for the day. And you guys can go fade Justin Fields and all that. Is Javonte coming up at all? It looks like we got a positive. Oh, that's a nice ROI. Javonte in 12% of lineups, Fields at 12.8. So not really a big stand there. But he is in lineups. Would think, though, he'll be the least owned out of the bringbacks for Jet stuff. Like Ferguson, I think, is going to be your second guy that occurs. Pickens at the monster game last week. Everyone's going to chase Pickens. I don't hate that. But I think it's going to be a very obvious combo with Fields. I would guess that Pickens with Ferguson comes up the least, but certainly Javonte. That's that. But anyway, we got 174% ROI, 0.5% win rate on this team. The final team we're going to do on the show here. Justin Fields, I'm going to go rest my sanity. Actually, I'm going to do another hour stream for the premium members. Justin Fields, Rico Dowdle, Rachaad White, Garrett Wilson. Start here. JSN, Chris Godwin, Jake Ferguson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Lions D. I mean, I guess to answer the earlier question, low-owned guy I'll play some more of than the field. It's going to be Chris Godwin. If he's going to be 5% owned, I'll play at least 5x that, I think. Like the lineup here, we got a game stack of Jets with one Dallas bringback. And that's enough for me to close out this video, guys. I appreciate all you guys who watched live. I appreciate you a lot more if you, number one, hit the like button, subscribe. I'm sure I've made some powerful enemies today, but you know what? We were vanquishing them one by one with Coke rings and the rest. If you don't get that, watch the end of yesterday's video. But guys, subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. It goes a long way for me here. I'm just showing you my gambling as best I can, showing you my takes, showing you all the research, all the work I do. And that's why when we say things that are absolutely fucking insane, I just know that I don't want you to do that. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Save you guys from yourselves. Save myself from myself here. But if you got any value to the video, and if you're just going to fade everything I said like a fucking idiot, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Show some love. Check out Stochastic, 15% off. Promo code SPLASH, link down below. Solver, same thing. Promo code SPLASH, link down below. Join the Discord if you want to see the premium video you get redirected to. Just join the channel right now. You'll be able to see me go game by game, looking at all the data and explaining more of the plays at more depth, game environments, stuff like that. It's all in the premium video. You also get my data sheet. So people have won $50,000 off of it. People also have not played Trevor Etienne off of it. So I think it's been a really successful part of the process here. But please join the Discord, join the channel, and you get access to the Discord, link down below. No final takes video on Sunday, but I'll be on Stochastics Live before lock, guys. If you have any questions, hop in the Discord. I'll still be available for any of the members that want to talk about anything because I'm not giving you as much content as usual. But make sure to gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time here. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. The fucking thing won't scroll down. All right, there we go. So I will see you guys again soon. See you in a moment if you're a premium member. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Don't play Trevor Etienne. Bye-bye.